The story is told of a grade 1 teacher who looked at her class one day and asked them, "What do you believe?" One of the little girls threw her hand up in the air and enthusiastically declared, "I believe in Jesus. I believe in the Bible. I'm a Christian." The teacher looked at the little girl and asked her, "Why do you believe that?" And the little girl said, "Because that's what my parents believe. That's what my parents are." The teacher looked at the little girl and said to her, "Well, what if your parents were idiots? And what if they believed whatever was popular at the time? What would you be then?" And the little girl said, "An atheist?" This joke illustrates a couple of realities. The first is that many of the students in our schools are there because of what their parents believe. And they therefore hold to the faith because their parents hold to the faith. Now this is a normal and good thing for kids in kindergarten and in the primary grades, even in the intermediate grades. But if they aren't beginning to develop a thoughtful and reasoned and grounded faith by the time they enter middle school and move into high school, then their faith will quickly disappear when challenged, and it will be challenged by the culture. It also illustrates that when we don't have a well-grounded faith, a reasoned faith, that somebody who opposes us, somebody who disagrees with our point of view, will be written off as an idiot. As I said in an earlier segment, the reason why we do that is it's a lot easier to call somebody an idiot and therefore characterize every point of view that they might have as idiotic than it is for us to sit down with them and say, why do you believe this? And why do I believe what I believe? And how can I reconcile my point of view with yours? Or at least find sound reasons to disagree with you? That level of dialogue is incredibly difficult to do and becoming more and more rare. I often read the newspaper online, and when I read a controversial article, I'll go to the comments section to find out what people are saying about these ideas. And every single time I read through a series of comments, there's always at least one or two people that write off somebody else who disagrees with them as being stupid, idiotic, or much worse. And this type of dialogue must be discouraged because it is in no way productive and just hardens each person in their point of view. You don't change somebody's mind by insulting them. You change their mind by helping them doubt what they believe. We have been inundated with a number of books that have sold very well that claim that atheism is the best way of understanding the world. And the people that have written these books have been intelligent and learned people who have spent, in some cases, years studying their fields and coming up with these conclusions. Sometimes, because of this, I feel intimidated by these men and am more likely to write them off as idiots than I am to really look deeply into what they're saying and find reason to disagree with them. But as I begin to investigate science, I am not as intimidated as I once was. Because there is a growing body of knowledge in science that gives Christians good reason to hold to the things that they hold to. Paul says in Romans chapter 1 that the world itself testifies to the glory of God. And many will be judged by God not because of their rejection of what God said about himself in the Word, because we know that many people have not read his Word yet. They will be judged because of rejecting him through as a result of the testimony that creation gave them. In other words, the created order revealed God, but they rejected that knowledge and, as Paul says, suppressed that knowledge and unrighteousness. So, Based on what Paul says, we should be able to look at the physical world. We should be able to consider scientific discoveries and find evidence to believe in our God. I've heard it said that physicists are the least likely to deny intelligent design, or at least the presence of some kind of an intelligent being behind the world. The reason for this is that as they study physical realities, they become aware of such an intricate interplay of forces that it is hard to imagine that they resulted from an accident. Over the last 25 years, physicists have come to articulate a theory called string theory. String theory, to put it very simply, purports that the universe is made up of dark matter and dark energy. And dark matter and dark energy can make up 95% of matter. And as of yet, we really haven't come to a place of really understanding those two realities. So what they're saying is that matter, at least what we can observe through the scientific method right now, consists of only 5% of the whole reality of matter. Now, why this is important is that it opens the door to the possibility of the existence of things outside of the boundaries of our universe, even outside of the boundaries of space and time. Physicists today are increasingly open to the idea of realities that cannot be comprehended by the five senses. Interestingly enough, many of the popular atheists today insist that all there is what we can experience through our five senses. But the broader scientific community is beginning to suggest that there's much more to the universe than that. I share this idea to illustrate that we don't have to be intimidated by the scientific community. In fact, we should be a vital part of that community, as many Christians are today, contributing to an increase in our body of knowledge about the way the world works. Because the Bible tells us that the more we study the natural world, the more we will become confident in the God that we know through His Word and through His Spirit. It is so important that we as teachers give our students a confident faith based not only on their sound understanding of His revealed Word, but also based on what the natural world tells us about our God. We have to help our students discern between what is observable and provable through science and what is speculation based on what is observable and provable. We need to help them develop good scientific minds as well as deep theological minds. Now you might be thinking, you know what? I teach kindergarten. I don't understand how I would use string theory in kindergarten. Well, I hope you don't try, because I think string theory is difficult even for a grade 12 physics class. But what you can do in kindergarten and in grade 1 and 2 and 3 up to grade 12 is you can help your students develop a scientific mind, an ability to use the scientific method to go out into the world to discover not only what is already known, but what has not yet been discovered. And through that, I am confident that they will become more settled in understanding that God is who He says He is in His Word. Not just because their parents have told them to believe that, but because the whole universe itself declares the glory of God. So, as we conclude this episode today, I would love for you to think about how you are helping your students develop a faith that is grounded in truth, scientific, biblical, global. Because the more reasoned the faith of your students will be, the more they will be able to go out into the world, sit down with those who do not hold the same point of view that they do, who have a completely different worldview, and engage them in a respectful and effective way to reconsider their perspective through the well-thought worldview that our students possess.